A woman will never walk up to you and say, "Hey, I am attracted to you. Please make a move." That is not how it works. Instead, she will do something far more subtle. She will touch something, and if you do not know what that something is, congratulations, you just missed your shot. And she has already moved on to the guy who actually pays attention. Here's the part that is going to sting a little. According to a study published in the Journal of Nonverbal Behavior, over 90% of emotional communication between two people without a single word being spoken. 90%? That means the most important conversation she is having with you right now is not coming out of her mouth. It is happening with her hands, and most men are completely illiterate when it comes to reading it. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus wrote that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we may listen more and speak less. But listening is not just about hearing words. It is about observing the body, the posture, the hands, the subtle shifts that reveal what the voice is trying to hide. A man who masters this kind of attention is not just observant. He is dangerous in the best possible way. He sees what others miss. He understands what others misinterpret, and he responds with precision rather than confusion. The difference between the man who gets the opportunity and the one who misses it is not luck. It is awareness. It is the willingness to pay attention to what is right in front of him. Let me be brutally honest for a moment. Women are not as mysterious as men make them out to be. They actually give away a ridiculous amount of information through the things they touch, the way they move, and where their hands go when they are around someone they are genuinely attracted to. The problem is not that women are impossible to read. The problem is that nobody ever taught you the language. And today, that changes. What I am about to share with you is not some recycled dating advice you have heard 100 times before. This is real behavioral psychology backed by actual research from institutions like Harvard, Princeton, and the Kinsey Institute. This is the kind of knowledge that, once you understand it, you cannot unsee it, and it will change the way you interact with women forever. The first signal is the hair touch. The first thing a woman touches when she is attracted to you is her hair. And you are probably thinking, that is so obvious. Everyone knows that, but here is what you do not know. There is a massive difference between a woman casually pushing hair out of her face because it is windy and a woman deliberately playing with her hair because you are standing in front of her. Dr. David Givens, who directs the Center for Nonverbal Studies, has spent over 30 years researching courtship signals in humans. According to his research, when a woman repeatedly touches, twists, or flips her hair during a conversation with a man, it is one of the most ancient and reliable courtship signals in the human species. It is not something we consciously decide to do. It is neurological. When attraction triggers a release of dopamine and norepinephrine in the brain, it literally increases nervous energy in the hands, and the hair is one of the first places that energy goes. If she touches her hair once and moves on, that is probably just grooming. But if she keeps doing it, twisting it around her finger, sweeping it to one side, pulling it over one shoulder to her neck, that is not accidental. That is her body screaming, "Look at me." The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius wrote that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. When a woman's thoughts are colored by attraction, her body reflects that, and her hands will betray her before her words ever do. A man who understands this does not need to guess. He observes. He notices. He sees what others miss. And when a woman touches her hair repeatedly in his presence, he knows that she is not just adjusting her appearance. She is sending him a signal. The question is whether he is paying attention. The second signal is the neck touch. When a woman lightly touches her neck or runs her fingers along her collarbone while talking to you, something very specific is happening in her nervous system. The neck is one of the most vulnerable areas of the human body. It is where major arteries sit close to the surface. From an evolutionary standpoint, exposing or drawing attention to the neck is a submission and trust signal. She is literally telling you without words that she feels safe around you and that she wants you to notice her in a more intimate way. Body language expert Vanessa Van Edwards, who runs the Science of People Research Lab, has pointed out that neck touching in women during social interactions with men, they find attractive increases by nearly 300% compared to interactions with men they have no interest in, 300%. That is not a coincidence. That is biology doing what biology does. When a woman touches her neck in front of you, she is not just fidgeting. She is exposing her vulnerability. She is telling you that she trusts you enough to let her guard down. And trust, as the Stoics knew, is the foundation of everything. The third signal is the lip touch. This one is subtle but incredibly powerful. If a woman touches her lips, whether she is lightly pressing a finger to them, biting her lower lip, or slowly applying lip balm while maintaining eye contact with you, she is not just moisturizing. She is drawing your attention to one of the most central parts of her face. And she is doing it on purpose, even if she does not fully realize it. Research from the University of Manchester used eye tracking technology and found that when men look at a woman's face, they spend approximately 43% of that time focused on the lips, especially when the lips are a color that contrasts with the skin. Women instinctively know this. We have known it for thousands of years. That is literally why lipstick was invented, to make the lips more noticeable and more inviting. So when a woman touches her lips in front of you, she is amplifying a signal that evolution has already hardwired you to respond to. She is essentially putting a spotlight on the part of her face she knows you are already looking at. And if that is not a green light, I honestly do not know what is. The fourth signal is jewelry fidgeting. This is one of the most underrated attraction signals in existence. When a woman starts fidgeting with her jewelry, playing with her necklace, spinning her ring, tugging on her earring while she is in a conversation with you, it is one of the clearest indicators that her nervous system is activated by your presence. Here is the psychology behind it. Fidgeting with jewelry is what behavioral psychologists call a self-soothing displacement behavior. It happens when the body is experiencing a surge of emotional arousal, excitement, nervousness, attraction, and needs a physical outlet to manage that energy. The jewelry becomes a tool for managing the internal chaos that you are causing inside her. And there is an added layer to this. Dr. Albert Mehrabian, the psychologist famous for his research on communication, found that when people are emotionally engaged in a conversation, their self-touching behaviors increase significantly. The more attracted she is, the more she needs to do something with her hands. And if those hands keep going to her necklace, especially if that necklace sits right above her chest, she is not so subtly directing your eyes exactly where she wants them to go. The fifth signal is the arm or shoulder touch. This is where things get unmistakable. If a woman reaches out and touches your arm, your shoulder, or your hand during conversation, she is breaking a very significant social barrier. Physical touch between two people who are not yet intimate is a huge deal from a neurological standpoint. A study from DePaul University found that a brief touch during a social interaction increases the recipient's perception of warmth, trust, and attractiveness toward the person who initiated the touch. In other words, when she touches your arm, she is not just expressing interest, she is also trying to make you feel more connected to her. It is a two-way strategy, and it is brilliant. When a woman touches a man's arm during a conversation and he does not acknowledge it at all, does not smile, does not lean in, does not mirror the touch, it feels like throwing a ball to someone and watching it just hit them in the chest and fall to the ground. No catch, no reaction, nothing. It is genuinely deflating. If a woman touches your arm, the correct response is not to freeze like a deer in headlights. Acknowledge it. Lean into it, mirror it. Because she just told you everything you needed to know without opening her mouth. The sixth signal is object manipulation. This one is sneaky, and most men have absolutely no idea it is even happening. When you're sitting across from a woman at a bar, a restaurant, or even a coffee shop, watch what she does with her glass. If she is slowly running her finger around the rim, tracing the edge of her cup, or gently sliding her finger up and down the stem of a wine glass, that is a textbook seduction gesture. Body language researcher and former FBI behavioral analyst Joe Navarro has written extensively about how object manipulation during conversation is a strong indicator of emotional engagement and often sexual interest. The glass becomes a stand-in. She is channeling the physical energy of her attraction into an object because she cannot channel it directly towards you yet. The relationship has not gotten there, so the glass gets all the attention that she actually wants to give you. If you are a man sitting across from a woman and she is doing this while holding eye contact with you and smiling, and you still cannot tell she is interested, you might need to watch this video twice. The seventh signal is clothing adjustment. When a woman starts adjusting her clothing in front of you, straightening her top, smoothing her skirt, tugging at her sleeve, or checking that everything is sitting right, she is doing one very specific thing. She is preening. And preening is one of the oldest courtship behaviors in the animal kingdom. Ornithologist and evolutionary biologist Jeffrey Miller has drawn fascinating parallels between human preening behavior and the way birds groom themselves for a potential mate. It is not about vanity. It is about presentation. She wants to look her absolute best in front of you because on a biological level, she is competing for your attention and your selection. The key distinction here is context. If she was already adjusting her outfit before you walked in, that is just regular self-care. But if she starts doing it after she notices you or while she is talking to you, that is a targeted behavior. She wants to make sure you're seeing the best version of her, and the fact that she cares that much about how she looks specifically in your eyes, that tells you everything. The eighth signal is facial framing. This is the one that most men misinterpret completely. When a woman rests her chin on her hand, cradles her own face, or gently touches her cheek while listening to you talk, most men interpret this as boredom. They think she is zoning out, propping her head up because she is tired of the conversation. That is almost always the wrong read. What she is actually doing is called facial framing, and it is one of the most intimate self-touch signals a person can display. Psychologist Dr. Monica Moore from Webster University conducted a landmark study observing over 200 women in social settings and cataloged over 52 distinct nonverbal flirting behaviors. Facial self-touching, specifically chin resting and cheek cradling, was among the top 10 most frequently observed signals from women who were actively engaged with and attracted to the male counterpart. Here's why it works. When a woman frames her face with her hands, she is unconsciously directing your attention to her facial features, her eyes, her smile, her expressions. She is saying, "Look at my face, see me, really see me." It is vulnerable. It is soft, and it is one of the most genuine indicators of deep attraction because it typically only shows up when she is comfortable enough to let her guard down around you. If you have ever been in a conversation with a woman and she was sitting across from you with her chin resting in her hand, eyes locked on yours, smiling while you talked, and you thought she was bored, she was not bored, my friend. She was falling for you and you missed it. Here's the thing about all of these signals. Not a single one of them involves words. Not one. And that is exactly why most men miss them. We live in a world that teaches us to listen to what people say. But the truth is, the body speaks first, and it speaks louder. A woman's words might tell you she is fine or just being friendly, but her hands, her posture, her unconscious gestures, those are telling you the real story. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus wrote that freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. But the opposite is also true. Wisdom is won by paying attention to the things that are within your control. You cannot control whether she is attracted to you, but you can control whether you are paying attention. You can control whether you see the signals she is sending. You can control whether you respond to them with presence and awareness. And that awareness is what separates the man who gets the opportunity from the one who misses it. Now that you have this knowledge, you have a responsibility not to manipulate, not to assume, but to pay attention. The next time you're talking to a woman and you notice her twisting her hair, touching her neck, playing with her necklace, or resting her chin in her hand while she looks at you, do not just stand there. Recognize what is happening. Respond to it, because she is already halfway across the bridge towards you. All you have to do is meet her in the middle. The philosopher Seneca wrote that the greatest cure for the mind is trust in the one who is advising. When you trust your own judgment, when you trust your own awareness, you do not need to second guess yourself. You see what is in front of you, and you act with clarity. That is the Stoic path. Not to control others, but to master yourself. And when you master yourself, you stop missing the signals. You stop wondering. You stop guessing. You start knowing. And that knowing is what makes all the difference.